Good afternoon. My name's Hope Frost, and on behalf of SBK Healthcare, I'm delighted to welcome you to this Managing Conflict on the NHS Frontline webinar. We are really proud to have produced this event, and we do hope that you take a lot away from it and enjoy it. It is now my pleasure to introduce your webinar leader for today, Cathe Gaskell.
Okay, hi everyone. Hopefully you can see me now. My name's Cathe, and I'm really excited to be talking to you on this wet day about conflict. So first of all, thanks very much SBK for asking me to come along and do this. And I want to jump into this quickly because I know we've only got 40 minutes and your time is really valuable. I want to tell you a little bit about me. My name's Cathe and I'm a nurse by background, but for the last 5 years, I've been working in the area of conflict and working with quite a few NHS trusts, NHS staff, and really trying to understand why do we have so much conflict and are there any tips or things that we can do to improve? And that's what today's about. I want to be sharing with you tips and ideas that I've learned from staff on conflict and also having a discussion with you and hopefully some chat at the end about things you want to know about. So that's what today's about. Thanks for joining. Great. Okay. So I thought I'd make it clear what the outcomes of the session are today. So one of the things that I think might really help you is to understand conflict and for you to understand when you're in conflict. Often we can tell when other people are in conflict. It's really important we know what the buttons are, what our triggers are. Let's understand conflict for us. I've got some really simple techniques to talk to you about reducing conflict, and they are simple. And we've got 5 of them, and I just want to chat those through with you. And then also I want to talk to you about courageous conversations. And some of you might have already heard of this term. It's when we talk to people that we're in conflict with, and we actually try and get to the root of it in a way that isn't destructive. So I want to talk to you about having a courageous conversation, and call it courageous because it's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to challenge conflict. But these are some of the ideas that I want to go through today and sort of a whistle stop and just take you through them and see if it helps. Okay, so I'll put up here what's conflict, because really what we're talking about is destructive conflict today. Constructive conflict can be when we do a challenge. That's reasonable. We can do a respectful clinical challenge. That's not conflict. The conflict that I think you want to know about is that serious disagreement, that protracted argument, but more importantly, it's that feeling when you really feel stuck, when you really feel this is difficult, and when it feels like it's not working. And that's the conflict I want to talk about, because 2 things in destructive conflict. One is it's contagious. So if you're in conflict, it's going to spill into your team. And 2, it doesn't go away on its own. We've got to do something about it. And that's the difficult bit. We've actually got to do something about reducing the conflict. That's what today's about, okay? I've put up some common causes of conflict that I see in the NHS. And you may disagree. You might have different ones. I've left one of the boxes blank. But probably one of the common causes I see is a poor communication style across the team. And there could be a number of things. We're going to cover it in a little bit more detail, but not everybody's a brilliant communicator. People can be too blunt. They can have lack of empathy. We can have people who use a command and control style. But poor communication is one of the key things that staff reflect. It really causes me conflict in my job. The other one I've got is misunderstandings that are not checked. That's a really interesting one, because often we think we know what people mean and we don't. We get it wrong because we're human. We're in a hurry. We're working in a busy environment. Misunderstandings are one of the top causes of conflict, where people go away with a perception. Often that perception is you don't like me, you don't respect me, and we don't check it out. And that then builds into that, I call it a boiling cauldron. Conflict is like a boiling cauldron. We actually feel seething when we're in conflict. Those angry feelings. We're going to talk a bit more about that. And misunderstandings can be a real cause of that. A clique in the team or service. Now, often people say, we don't have a clique, we all know each other around here. What might it feel like if you're new and joining the team? What might it feel like if you have just started, or you're an agency, or you haven't been long in your role? Cliques are a common cause of conflict, and it's how do we deal with that? What do we do to make sure that people are included and welcome? Or you could be someone who feels that you're entering a team with a clique. And the other one is grade bias, and that's an interesting one. It's when staff report they're referred to as you're a band 5. So grade bias is a real sense of I'm less than, and that's how I'm made to feel. So those are the top 4 reasons that I'm going to give you that I think might be particularly relevant at this time. And I've left one blank for you to start thinking. What's the common cause of conflict where I work? What could it be? So there's many other causes. I haven't gone into banter. I haven't gone into other areas, but these ones are ones that I think we can work on together, and I can give you some ideas about what might help. Okay, so I've put this picture up really to represent that conflict happens at all levels. A lot of the training I do in conflict is with nurses, it's with doctors, it's with midwives, but there's a lot of other people that make up the NHS. So I've also trained a range of people from front of house, back of house. Everybody could be involved in conflict. And I think conflict isn't just about top down. It isn't just about bottom up. It can be peer-to-peer conflict. So I just want to raise that and put it on the table that conflict can occur at any level, but it can also be resolved at any level. So I just want to let everyone know that conflict can affect all of us. It's affected me many times. And that's why I want to share what I do differently now so I have less conflict. Okay, thanks. Right, this is the bit where I really need you to think for me, because I want to take you back into what I call the boiling cauldron. Now, the reason I call it the boiling cauldron is when we're in conflict, it's very uncomfortable. And I can only liken it to a swirling, boiling cauldron. And what I want you to think about for 20 seconds is some conflict you're in. So I'm not going to make you share that, but I just want you to think for 20 seconds of a conflict you had at work. Okay, I just want you to rethink it. And perhaps those uncomfortable feelings start to come back. Perhaps they weren't uncomfortable. I just want you to go back into that conflict, and I want us to start to think about feelings and behaviours. And what I'm going to do is then ask you in your chat to start putting down what are the feelings you have when you're in conflict. Could just be one word, but can I get a sense of what are the feelings you have when you're in conflict? Okay, brilliant. I've got anger, frustration, anxiety, confusion. Yeah. Disbelief, under attack, unrest, irritation, letdown, hurt, nausea, annoyance, fear. Yeah, all of them. Sick in the stomach. Now that's a really important one. Yeah, hopelessness, panic, worry, withdrawal. Yeah, really, really. I've seen all of them. It's normal, but I want to give you some ways to help as well, because it's very difficult to cope with those feelings. I do understand. And there's a lot of somatics coming as well, like there's tummy ache and all those feelings. Yeah. Really good. And now someone's put they just wanted to leave. That's a really, really common feeling when you're in conflict. So part of today, I want you to become conflict experts. I want you to be able to spot when you're in conflict and when you have a colleague in conflict, because this is going to help you. Okay, brilliant. I really appreciate all the people who sent in answers. So feelings, all of them are accurate. I'm going to tell you the 12 probably common ones that I find working with staff. When people are in conflict, they feel sad, angry, defeated, withdrawn, obsessed, paranoid. That can be a feeling when you're in conflict. Other people don't like me, or they're taking sides. Tearful, overwhelmed, avoidant, vengeful is a feeling when people are in conflict. I feel I want revenge. Misunderstood and hurt. and feeling alone. Yeah. Those are the common feelings we're all feeling around conflict. And that's why it's really important. I now have my conflict radar on, and I can pick up if I'm starting to get those feelings. It's a trigger. It tells me, Cathe, you're in conflict. You need to have a think about what is bothering you and get to the bottom of it. So it's great that you've expressed all of those. But also remember, your colleagues might be having this experience as well. So if you see a colleague who's normally really outgoing, who is starting to say they want to leave, those are signs they might be in conflict. Okay, brilliant. Now I want to get you to do the same on behaviours. What behaviours do you show when you're in conflict? So the same thing. What do you do? Okay. Yep, some people snappy, no eye contact. Yep, withdraw, defensive. Brilliant. Look for jobs. Yeah, really important. People in conflict don't stick around. Sulk, yeah, sometimes we do, yeah. Brilliant. Contact the union, yep. Avoid the issue, yep. Count till 10. Some people verbalise, some people speak to their manager. What else can you do? Yeah, rant, you can feel stony-faced, you can feel, oh, yep. I think it's really important that we talk about some of the somatizing effect of conflict, and by that, it's how ill conflict makes us feel. It really does make us feel. Brilliant. I'm going to tell you some of those feelings or behaviours that I've seen. Brilliant. I've got loads more coming in. Right. Crying is one of the common behaviours when people are in conflict. And taking time off work. It's really common. If you've got staff who are going off sick, I'm going to challenge you that they may be in conflict. Splitting. And what I mean by is when you're in conflict, you want to get people on your side. It's really normal. We talk about conflict a lot. We might not talk to the person who's doing it, but we will talk about conflict a lot. We can be undermining to others. We can withdraw. We can isolate, but also we can be controlling when we're in conflict. Argumentative is one of the behaviours. Poor sleep is a really common thing. And it's one of the triggers that I look for. If I'm waking up at night with a stomachache, I'm probably in conflict. So I look for my own triggers. Somatic signs we've covered: feeling sick, stomachache, headache, that dread of going to work. Your mental health can be affected as well. And the other behaviour is ruminating. So when I say ruminating, you're going over and over and over the thing that caused you conflict. So first of all, just to put it out there, you're all normal. What you're doing is what we all do about conflict. I want to give you some different options, because when you're in the boiling cauldron, you're not your best self. You're not your best self. You're not making your best judgments. Now, somebody's talked about talking it out with others. Do you know what? Sometimes conflict isn't helped by talking it out with others. Do you know why? Because we tend to, when we're in conflict, tell lots of people. So one of the things I've mentioned is that conflict is contagious. So if you're very frustrated, you'll tell other people. Do you know what? It doesn't actually help. We've got to get to the root of the conflict, which is finding out your unmet need and dealing with that. Talking about it to your team doesn't really help. It starts splitting. It can be remembered. It can be felt that you're bullying people if you talk about your conflict. So I want to give you some other ways of dealing with it. All the stuff that we normally do, which is talking about it, moaning, groaning, nothing wrong with that. I'm going to give you some different alternatives, because conflict, you've got to deal with it in a different way. Let me see if I can help. So thanks everyone for being so honest. And remember, as I always say, when you're in that bubbling cauldron, you don't make the best decisions. And the other thing is that sometimes we annoy our colleagues when we're in conflict because we keep talking about the same stuff. Ever done that? Ever felt like I've had this conversation before? I've just told everybody in the team how upset I am by the manager, what they've done, and everybody starts to back off from me and everybody feels like I'm boring them. Well, do you know what? You are. Probably when we're in conflict, we are boring. We are boring because we say the same stuff over and over again. So it's a really useful piece of self-awareness. that I've had to learn: when I'm in conflict, I'm boring because I keep talking about it. So we're going to hold on to that and think, what are we going to do? What are we going to do differently? Okay. Okay. So thanks again for everyone being really honest. So when you're in conflict, there's an unmet need. Something has been done that caused this conflict in you, and there's an unmet need. And I can usually, when I talk to staff, find out what the unmet need is through the conversation. And I've put a list of common needs down on the left-hand side. When your unmet need is not met, it puts you into conflict. You can feel disrespected. So therefore, your needs are to feel respected, to feel listened to feel included, to feel fairly treated. I've put them down that side. And sometimes our conversation will give away what the conflict's about. Someone will tell you, I'm never included. I never get my opinion listened to. They're actually telling you what the conflict is about. It's important for me to be included. It's important for me to be listened to. So when someone's having a conflict conversation, i.e. they're telling you their story, within that, you can start to hear the conflict. Now, the trick is, you need to do this for yourself. Part of today is to raise our self-awareness, all of us, to think, okay, I'm in conflict. What am I doing? I know I'm talking to everybody about it. I'm dreading going into work. I'm argumentative. I'm not concentrating on the job. I'm not my best self. Okay, I need to do something about that. I've recognized myself. I'm in conflict. And I was going to give you a little anecdote just to explain a typical conflict that I might look at. And I think it's such a simple one. You will all recognize this. Such a simple one. So I'm just going to read out to you this little anecdote. It's just made up of different staff that I've spoken to. And this one's just on 2 nurses. And I just want you to get a sense of what the unmet needs are, could be in this conflict. Okay, so we've got nurse A, and she joined the service as a deputy manager. So she's been qualified 2 years and she's been in post 8 weeks. And she's been told to reduce agency. And her first thought is, I'm going to reduce agency through rotating the night staff onto days. And I'm going to do that with immediate effect. On doing that, sickness shot up when it was announced, and it was announced on a note to the staff at night. Okay, so that's the first one. Nurse B was the ward manager on that ward. He'd been in post 6 years, and he was concerned about the agency usage and wanted Nurse A to deal with it, but he didn't want to deal with the complaints from the night staff. So he overturned the plan to implement 24-hour internal rotation on an email to the staff on Nurse A's day off. So that's a fairly typical conflict situation. And Nurse A approached HR to express she felt undermined and bullied by Nurse B. So if you just listen to that, what do you think the unmet needs are there of Nurse A? What's her unmet needs? What does she want? What does she need? What's the unmet needs there? She needs, respect, communication, being included, respect, feel included, yeah. And communication is missing, isn't it? Yep, I also agree, she does need autonomy. You bring someone in, you've got to let them do their role. All of it, you're right. I think all of those things, but that unmet need probably is that respect. Yep, respect. And to feel supported. To feel supported when you're new in a role. It's really important to feel supported. Okay, what about Nurse B? What about Nurse B? What's his unmet need? What's his unmet need? He's been in charge. Someone's come in, they come up with an idea, they've just enforced it, he's reversed it. What would his unmet need be? Yeah, he wants to be included, and loss of control, and he didn't feel included. Yeah, there is an avoidance of conflict there, yeah, so no, really good answers, you get that. So the unmet needs there are probably many for Nurse A, didn't feel supported, that might be the key one, and Nurse B didn't feel included. And you know the common thing? Communication was missing. That is at the heart of our conflict. Why not have communication? Why not both of you talk about the plan and work it out? And what we've seen happen is we do this, we get really upset and we go straight escalate to HR. Now, I'm not saying HR aren't brilliant. What I do say is that we can de-escalate conflict without making it formal. And I try and talk to people about what informal things can we do so that it doesn't become a grievance. And I do a lot of work around what could we do instead of a grievance. Yeah, they should have met first and talked about it. Yeah, brilliant. So you get that. That is a simple conflict, if you like. I'll get presented with many different types of conflicts, but what I just wanted to show you is, do you know what both sides had an unmet need? Both sides. And sometimes when we're in conflict, we can only see our side because I'm in the boiling cauldron. I can only see what hurts me, what wakes me up at night, what makes me not sleep, which gives me indigestion, which makes me have a stomachache and wants me to dread my job. So actually talking about it is key. It's just, you know, it sounds simple, but we just don't do it. We don't do it. So that's just a really simple example about the conflict and the unmet needs. I can have a look at the next one. Yeah. And I like it. Somebody said both are unreasonable. Probably right. So destructive conflict, you guys have really got this. High sick leave, that's what you see. High turnover, yep. Grievances and HR involvement. When I am working with a team that has a lot of grievances, I can guarantee communication is not great because grievances are our form of frustration. I'm in conflict with you, you're not listening to me, I'm going to make it formal. Okay. Now the last one is really interesting, a poorer quality of teamwork. And I know some of you will have heard of Dr. Chris Turner and his work on civility. Poorer teamwork equals poorer outcomes for patients. So it's really, really interesting to link that when we're not communicating as a team, because we're in conflict, it actually hurts our patients. We can actually map and track a whole range of poorer outcomes for patients with a team that's in conflict and isn't working well. So that's why it's so important that we grab a hold of this conflict and think, let's do it differently. Let's not necessarily escalate it at the first point, because we didn't see any conversations between nurse A and nurse B. It just went formal. It went straight to the bullying box. Actually, let's talk about it. So I'm going to get the next. Lovely. Right. So now I want to talk to you, and it's simple, simple, simple. I want to talk to you about 5 antidotes to reducing conflict at work. And these are things that I've heard from staff, but also I've seen put into practice. Okay. And really, I'm going to touch on again and echo what I said earlier, that it's about growing our self-awareness. It's also about growing our empathy. And some of us might need to change the way we are. That's happened to me. I need to do things differently to reduce conflict. So some of the stuff I've done around conflict has also been about looking at my style of management as well, and the way I am. So it's part of recognizing that conflict isn't always in other people. Sometimes it's in us. There could be things that we're doing that have increased conflict. Not always, but it's having that open mind to think, what can I learn? What can I do differently? How could I be different so that I can reduce conflict at work? Okay, so it's going to be 5 very, very simple things I'm going to take you through. Okay, so this is a laptop, and I would have to say the laptop is the best way to escalate conflict. I always say that. So email is brilliant at giving the wrong impression. You can't read the face and the body language of the person who sent something. Do you know what? If you choose to copy people in on an angry email, you may as well just light a match and throw it down. Emails cause a lot of friction at work. And one of the things that I find is that email is used. People say to me, oh, I haven't got time to talk to my staff. I can't manage that staff member. I'm going to email them. If you've got time to write an email, pick up the phone. I know it's difficult. It's hard, and emails are done quickly, but you write an email in haste, or you write an email and you haven't checked your words, which I do. Do you know what? It's disastrous, because I don't know what you meant by it. I didn't know if it was a joke. I didn't know if you were angry with me. Emails cause staff a lot of conflict and cause me a lot of work, because I go and see people and they say, I got this email from my boss, I showed the whole team and I'm so upset and I can't sleep and it's really hurt me. You know, you get the two people together, and if the boss has insight, they'll actually say, I didn't mean it like that. I was rushing off. We only had half the information. So, you know, if you want to reduce conflict, my top tip, do not criticize staff on an email. Don't criticize up, and never copy somebody in. Because if I make a mistake at work, I'd much rather you told me than you copied people in. So copying people in is a really angry thing to do. Telling people off on email, particularly if we do that email, that NHS email, which I call the stinky email, which is like you copy 80 people in to tell 2 people off. It really is a great cause of conflict. And it's something I'm working with the NHS. Please don't email. Worse if we email people in the same office. I mean, who's had that? We have people email in the same office. So choose to talk to me before emailing me. And this is my rule of thumb. Never give bad news on an email. So if my performance isn't right, I'd much rather you told me. We can follow it up with an email. But email, as the predominant form of management, causes conflict. Because I don't know what you meant. I can't read your face because I can't see it. It hurts me when you copy people in. I'm worn down by your emails of management. And also, guess what? It feels like you're micromanaging me. We've got to stop emailing. And the thing I proposed to the NHS, which I know they don't like, is I said, let's have an email-free day where we just don't email at all. And do you know what? If we pick the phone up, we'll all understand each other better. But it is just, people are fixed on emailing, and I think it's become part of our culture. It can become part of our culture. Okay, so copying people in, sending emails that are critical, sending emails when we're angry, all really difficult. It's good for misinterpreting what was meant. It's good for disseminating information. Yep. But it's poor for managing. It's poor for managing. Okay, next one, please. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question. Are NHS staff good at listening? What's your opinion? Are NHS staff good at listening? Okay. I'm getting some mixed views here. A lot of you are saying no. Some of you are depends on the person. Yeah, not always. Okay, lots of people saying no. Because I'm going to tell you my opinion, which you're welcome to disagree with. I think that NHS staff are not good at listening. I'll give you my opinion, because we're really, really good at problem solving. And so one of the things that we tend to do is we jump in before the person's finished. And sometimes conflict, particularly if somebody's coming to tell you something difficult, we want to resolve it. And I see this all the time. People say, I went to talk to my manager, and before I did, I was shut down. They wanted to resolve it. And it's a way that we actually unknowingly cause conflict. So it's one of those things about, it is really difficult to listen, partly because of our time pressures, and partly because we multitask. Anybody been in a supervision, because I have, or been in a really important meeting and somebody's texting on their phone or typing on the laptop? That can happen. So it's a really easy thing to do, but listen, particularly if somebody's giving you a difficult message, because it's easy to be defensive. I don't like to hear criticism, but it's something that we've got to learn. And I've had to work hard on this to actually listen to what someone's telling me, because my natural response is, I've got an answer for that. I can fix that. I know what to do now. So listening is one of the top things. And I'm going to take you to the next slide, which will tell you sort of how. It's okay. So if you want to reduce team conflict, become an active listener. And this is something that I would say people find really hard to do. So this is an exercise that I do, and I'd really welcome you to try this with your team, and maybe you have a different response to me. What I do is I get people to talk about a conflict for 2 minutes. Just one-on-one, just 2 people. The person who talks about conflict doesn't stop. They just keep talking. And the person who's listening doesn't speak. Now, you're going to think, well, how's that going to help? Some of the feedback has been, it's the longest conversation I've had. Yeah, because we tend to interrupt and want to fix it. So the 2-minute rule that I've been giving people, it sounds crazy. 2 minutes is nothing. But if you can actually give full attention, and that means putting your laptop down and your phone away, it is life-changing. I've had people do this and say, it's the longest time that someone's listened to me. And guess what? I solved my own problem. I actually solved my own problem. And I'm seeing people from PALs and complaints coming up. PALs and complaints are pretty good at listening to people. I find they're often really good at actually taking it all in. As a clinician, so I'm a nurse, I want to problem solve. So I probably let people talk about 27 seconds. That's before I think, I know what I could do to fix that, or I know what you could do to fix that. So 2 minutes is a really good time to let people talk and actively talk, i.e. I'm not doing anything else. And it's so important when I say, I went to see my manager and they had their laptop open. If you are looking at your laptop, you're not actively listening to someone. So give me your full attention. The other thing is letting people come up with their own solution. Sometimes we try and resolve things, and another thing we do in conflict, and I do this, so I'm hoping you do it as well. I do it accidentally. Somebody will tell me a conflict. They'll say, I've got a problem with so-and-so. Do you know what we do? We join in. We say, actually, yeah, me too. I've had a problem with them. Do you find them really difficult? We're growing conflict because conflict's contagious. So by joining in and adding our story, it actually hasn't helped. One of the reasons I say to people, if you want to reduce conflict, don't talk about it with your team members, because someone's just written here, they're throwing coals in the fire. That's what happens. Sometimes conflict, which is quite small, you speak to 3 people in the team, it's grown by the end of the day. Conflict grows because everyone else has said, well, they happened to me, they did that to me, this is, you know, and also it isn't helpful. So the person who's raised the conflict feels worse because they're actually burdened with what everybody else has told them. So if you are an active listener, don't add your story. Don't add your story. Let me have my 2 minutes. Let me talk. Give me your full attention. And then ask me what I want to do now to resolve this. So a lot of the time people say to me, someone comes to me with conflict and I try and fix it for them. Is that the right thing to do? The person in conflict might be the person who has to take the next step, which is stop talking about it to people on the team, find the person that you have the difficulty with and have that courageous conversation. And what I want to do is I agree, I want to give staff the tools to fix things. So if I'm upset, if I'm angry, if I'm frustrated, I get a chance to talk to you about it. I find the right time, I'm calm, I'm not aggressive, and actually we have those adult conversations rather than going to HR, which can actually inflate it, make it feel more serious, and then it becomes something quite scary. And people will be asked, do you want to go down grievance? And some people say, I said yes, I didn't realize what would happen. So I'm really interested in, could we use active listening at an early point to really help our colleagues come to their own conclusion about what they're going to do, not add coals to the fire, as someone said, but also be a reflector back. Because actually, I've had someone do this, and they came and reported to me. They said, you know, I talked for 2 minutes, and I actually felt, for the first time, I'd heard myself moaning. And I realized I'm just moaning. So that self-awareness is coming in just by the listening. And people aren't moaning. They're in conflict. They're unhappy. But it's so important if you can hold the space to allow someone to talk without adding any fuel to the fire, telling your story, or telling other people on the team. Actually direct them, what are you going to do about it now? What would you like to do about it now? Okay, I don't know if you have heard or become aware of incivility. So incivility is something, I think I mentioned Dr. Chris Turner earlier on, and Dr. Chris Turner is a consultant in the NHS, and he has got a website, which I'm going to give you details on, called Civility Saves Lives. And he's really interested in civility. Now, civility, what is it? I guess it's a posh word of saying being rude. It's not bullying and harassment. It's those little rudenesses that we do, maybe without realizing it. And we have to be aware of our own incivilities in the NHS. Now, this, I think, was from the RCN. They actually put this out. Now, if you just think of a couple of things, how many of them do we do? Scrolling on your phone in meetings. Might because we're multitasking, we're ultra busy, but it's part of the incivility behaviours. It's part of the little things that chip away. I think somebody put down gossiping. May not be aware of it. It's something we all do, but it creates that sense of conflict in the team. What about the one down the bottom? Anybody got any comments on the body language or the eye roll? So these are behaviours named as things we do in the NHS. So we've got someone saying that's me. But how does it make you feel? It's passive aggressive? Yeah, okay. How does it make you feel if someone's rolling their eyes and pulling faces, which we do get? Yeah, makes you feel bad. Incivility, is it something that we do? I think I can say I've done all of those. What I am doing is trying to be more self-aware the older I get about my behaviours. So turn your phone off in a meeting. Someone said we're all guilty. That's good. Makes me feel it's not just me. Yeah. We all need to be more self-aware. That social exclusion, you know, that's not always intentional. So I would say that these aren't intentional necessarily, but social exclusion, when you've been working with a team, somebody new comes along, maybe they don't get invited out, you don't think about it. It's one of those things. Public criticism, that's what I talk about on email. When someone's criticized on email, that public criticism is really painful. That subtle acts of thoughtlessness, not including people, you know, not bringing people along, not checking on people, those things we do because we're busy and we're trying to do the best we can, because I believe that people in the NHS come to work to do the best they can. Yep, social platforms discussing others, that comes up a lot. Some teams I know have Facebook groups in their hospital. So it might be Facebook groups for OTs or Facebook groups for physios or paramedics, and people will be talked about it. And then when people actually get onto that and they see that people are discussing them, it's so painful. And I work with people who have had that happen, and it's very hard for them to get the trust back. So how do you say to 12 people, you've been insulting to me? Or I feel you have. It's a perception. I feel you have. Okay. So I just wanted to put that down. Incivility is not something that we do purposely, or we don't necessarily do it with a bad intention. So it's sort of not bullying and harassment. We're not doing it almost with an intention, but it happens. And those are the behaviours that contribute to conflict. So I just want to get you to put those up and start thinking about them, and just think, okay, incivility is now being recognised in the NHS. We can name it, we can call it out. How do we go about changing it so that actually we change the culture of the team that we're in? So this isn't usual, this isn't normal, this isn't what we do. Okay? And thank you. So I think that in the last 8 weeks, we've seen a huge amount of recognition for the NHS. You know, well deserved. You know, it's brilliant. It's great that the public are recognising the NHS for the brilliant work that people do, and, you know, just the hard graft that people are doing, and the bravery and the resilience. But what about in our teams? Is it normal to thank people in your team? Is it something that you have time to do? Some teams do, some teams don't. But gratitude is a really important way of changing the way you feel about things. Okay, so some people are saying yes, brilliant. If you've got a team where you're thanked, if there's a strong collegiate response, It really makes a difference. Now, some people are brilliant. They go around and do it. But how can we make this attitude of gratitude more commonplace? How can we make sure that we thank people and we are appreciative? Because as conflict is contagious, positivity needs to be contagious as well. So we need to be able to recognize people and say, you really did a great job. I really appreciated that. Or thank you. Or that made a difference. And I think sometimes that we forget to take the time to be grateful. I can say that people will remember a negative email more than they will remember a positive email. Those negative emails, those negative comments really help, really hurt. Or a positive email, positive gratitude. I just want to put up an attitude of gratitude because I've seen people start to change their mindset and cognitively start to see positives, start to think, what are the things I like about my team? What are the things I like about my job? So this is one of the antidotes to conflict. When I'm in conflict, I don't want to be in this job. I want to leave. I hate it. An attitude to gratitude is thinking about, what do I like about my job? What am I good at? What's my colleague good at? Have I told them? Have I thanked people? It sounds simple, and even some people might say, oh, how's that really going to change? It's about also that self-awareness we talked about at the beginning, that self-awareness, being positive, because if it's positive to be contagious, it's really worth it. And I know there are some places that it's incredibly difficult to say thank you. And you know what? Some people say thank you is patronizing. You're just doing your job. Why should we thank you? You're just doing your job. I don't think that's the way to approach it. I think that people that come into work in the NHS, they're certainly not doing it for the money. I think that they're doing it because they have an intrinsic belief. I want to change things for the better. I want to make it better for people. I want to make healthcare better, accessible, kinder. I really, really believe that. I think that people that work in the NHS intrinsically are good because they want to do good. So I want to just pick up as the fifth point, that attitude of gratitude really can make a difference. And if we did it every day, if we did it once a week, oh, somebody said thank you to me, thank you, that's nice. If we did that, it would really, really make a difference. So please take that little piece away with you. Okay, so this is a simple slide, and sometimes I think simple things are best. What's helped reduce conflict? So I work with a number of different organizations, and these are some of the things. Okay, say hello every morning to the team. Do you know what? So many staff feel that people don't speak to them because of their grade. You know, the doctor doesn't say hello to me, or the nurse, senior nurse doesn't say hello to me. If you say hello to everyone in the team, you're already setting off on a good foot. It's just a simple thing to do, isn't it? But just treat everyone in the team. Say hello to everyone, from the reception to whoever. Say hello to everyone. Everyone notices if you only say hello to the top people. It really is noticed. Say hello to everyone. New team members and social events. Such a simple thing. I had so many people say, I started in the NHS. I had no induction and nobody told me what to do. I didn't even know where the canteen was. Remember, when people are new, that memory of how they were treated really stays with them. And some people, the way they're treated causes conflict ongoing. So include the team members in social events. Just make sure that everybody knows where to go, what to do. Take time at the end of the day to ask what went well. So I'm going to talk a bit about that because I think it's so important to just say what went well. What went well. Go home on that positive note. Cognitively align ourselves to what you did well rather than what didn't go well. Now, this is what I'm going to talk about. Apologize early when you were clunky when communicating. I disagree that saying these words is an apology. I'm sorry you felt that way. That's not an apology. I'm sorry you felt that way implies I'm at fault. Implies I'm at fault. There are three things you can do to make an apology land. And trust me, we're all going to have to apologize in our lifetime many times over. Because we're clunky. I'll say the wrong thing. I'll make a joke that's not funny. I won't include someone. 3 things you can do to get a brilliant apology. Okay, first apology is when you say sorry, you've got to take responsibility. It's my fault, rather than saying, I'm sorry you felt that way. That implies it's my fault. So 3 things, so 3 R's for an apology. You've got to take responsibility. You've got to be remorseful. You've actually got to realise I've hurt someone's feeling. That's bad. And the other thing is you've got to have a remedy. Because if you just say, I'm sorry, how do I know you're not going to hurt me again? When we make a genuine apology, it's really worth saying what I'm going to do differently. So for example, if I said something clumsy or clunky at work, I need to think about, am I tired? Do I need some supervision? Do I actually need to go away and take some time to think about do I need to do some more training? Do I need to take some time off? Because sometimes the reason we're clunky is because we're in conflict. And when I'm in conflict, I can sometimes make jokes or I can overcompensate. So it's worth thinking, okay, what is this telling me? My communication's clunky. Maybe I need to have some self-reflection. Why am I doing this? Why am I getting this wrong? And the other one is mediation. So I think mediation is a really positive thing. It's neutral. It shouldn't involve HR. It shouldn't be going into your files. It's confidential. I'm really pro mediation way, way, way before grievance. I don't believe it works after grievance because guess what? We're too hurt about each other. The conflict's too deep. Do it before grievance. Have a mediation. What have you got to lose? Listen to people and hear both sides of the story. Hear both unmet needs. So I'm very pro mediation because I think it's one of the top ways to reduce conflict in the NHS. So teams without conflict, they work really well. They communicate, and we talked a bit about nurse A&B, really simple one, but communicate, tell people, have meetings, inform people, make sure you share information, and don't do it on email. Talk about it. We're civil. We're civil, and being civil means that we will make mistakes, we will say the wrong things, we will leave people out, and you fix it. You go back and say, I'm sorry. And saying sorry is not weakness. I've had people tell me, I can't say I'm sorry because I'm a director. What difference does that make? Doesn't matter how senior you are. It's a sign of humility to say sorry. Chief execs from top to bottom will make mistakes. Need to be able to say sorry, and it does not mean that you are weaker by saying sorry. It means that you're a strong person. Yeah. Your rank is irrelevant. Whether you say, you can't say I'm too senior to say sorry. Anyone and everyone should be able to say sorry. And the last one is appreciate. You know what? We've got to tell people when they've done well. We've got to tell ourselves. When did you last think that you did a really good job? When did you last tell yourself, I've done really well? Do you do positive self-talk? Do you appreciate yourself? Or are you typical NHS, quite critical of yourself and think, I could do better, I could do better? Because guess what? We're really critical of the NHS, of ourselves. Totally critical. You can thank someone else. When do you think, I've done a really good job today? I gave my best. It didn't work out, but I gave my best. I was professional. I was clinically safe and sound. I was collegiate. Appreciate yourself as well. And apologising. Someone said, it's a strength of character to be able to apologise. We will get things wrong. The other thing that goes along with apologising is forgiveness. Sometimes people will hurt us in the workplace. We've got to forgive them if they mean the apology and a genuine forgiveness. Okay. And this one, the going home checklist. Now you've seen this. It's come from a particular trust. I think it was Doncaster and Bassett Law Teaching Hospital. And I really like it because it's some of those things that's a little reminder. And I know that they've made it so that you can send it out everywhere, but it's just that little thing of mindfulness. So take a moment to think about today. Acknowledge one thing that was difficult. Let it go. Be proud of the care you gave. Consider 3 things that went well. Check on your colleagues. Are they okay? Are you okay? Now switch off. Now, this is another thing that causes conflict. Do not check your emails at home. Yeah, I know you're going to kill me and say, but we have to. We have to. But actually, do you know what? You have a life as well. You need to feed yourself as well. You're important as well. Conflict can come from us being overwhelmed and overburdened. So I think this checklist is a really good idea. It came out March 2019. It's gone around the NHS, and I think it's brilliant. You can download it. You can put any logo on it. It's free for us all to use. That going home checklist, I'd really like to see every team having on their wall, and actually going home and with a positive feeling if you can. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm ready for questions.
Thanks, Cathe. That was great. Really insightful, and I know that I've certainly taken away some things to think about, so I hope that everyone else has as well. We have got a few questions. First off, someone has asked, how do you access mediation?
Okay, so I'm hoping that many NHS trusts have it. The first place you go to is HR. They should be able to provide it for you. It's reasonable that we ask for mediation. We shouldn't have to pay for it. Go to your HR department or your union and check that you can get mediation.
That's great, thank you. Someone else has asked, how can you say thank you without sounding patronising?
Oh, it's so tricky. It is really difficult. I think knowing the person you're saying thank you to is important. Like, some people like to be thanked publicly, some people like a private moment. It's knowing, so one size doesn't fit all. I know that sometimes people have said to me, I've been thanked on an email and I found it really embarrassing. I didn't like that. So it's about knowing one size doesn't fit all. What is that person like? Are they an introvert, an extrovert? It is, if you do a multiple thank you, it doesn't tend to feel sincere. I like a personal thank you. When somebody's thanked me, but told me what I did that they were appreciative for. So I like to know. For me, it's like, well, what did I actually do? If it's just saying thank you, is it a generic thank you that went to everybody? I want to know that it's about me.
Okay, that's great. Someone else has asked, what can be done when the same issues with a colleague have already been dealt with by a manager, but it's still the same when a small conflict or disagreement arises again?
That's really difficult. So sometimes you need to have team mediation. And it can be really helpful to have a whole team go into mediation. But the other thing is, I've asked people to adopt a number of these changes across the team. So this won't tend to work if you're the only one doing it. You need everybody to start doing listening, everybody to sort of get off the email, everybody to start saying thank you. You almost want to get a team change, because once you change the culture, it's harder for those behaviours to carry on. The other thing I will say is, you got to have, I call it like a 20-80 rule. 80% of people want to get out of drama. I don't like drama. I don't like conflict. That's why I want to learn about it. You know what? 20% of people do like drama. They do like conflict. So some of those drama llamas won't want to change, because that's what I always do. I always get into fights and I always fall out with my colleagues. I guess that's their self-awareness. So some of the stuff is working on, what can I change? Let me focus on 80% of people who want to go with me, but 20% of people might like still having those difficult relationships. And you can only change a bit at a time. But if you feel better and if you feel more positive, it's got to help.
Absolutely. So another question is, how can we tell staff that they are being incivil without being rude?
Oh, I think it's such a cool thing to bring up. Well, I think because Incivility is being published, it's worth bringing that checklist out. So I think, as I said, I got mine off the RCN website. Incivility, it's also on Chris Turner's website. I think that it's worth sharing. I've just started using that Incivility checklist, and when I've started to show people, they've gone, I didn't think that scrolling was rude. It's just what we do. We do it in the board. I'm going, well, that's even worse, because if we do it at the top, it's sort of modeling to people. It's okay. It's difficult, but I think you've got to bring it up. Bring it up at a team meeting. Ask staff, do you think this is real? It's incivil. We know that we're actually tracking incivility linking to worse patient mortality. So there's some really interesting work going on to say that there's theory behind this, rather than just, a few old thoughts. It's actually going to be science-based. Incivility will impact on patient outcomes. So therefore it's worth us changing that, because we all are here for better patient outcomes.
Great. Someone else has asked, what can I do if I'm being bullied and feel like I have tried to resolve it several times?
Oh, that's such a hard one. What I would do is, it's really difficult if you feel you've been bullied by your manager, but what I would do is normally try and have that courageous conversation. I know that can be really, really hard. And that courageous conversation is finding a place to talk to the person that you feel is bullying you, understanding that it may not go well, but with, we call it Socratic questions. And with that Socratic questions, it's not, this is what you did to me, Hope. It's, Hope, I think you and I haven't been getting on very well. What can I do differently in the future so that we will? How can we work together better? So Socratic questions are much more positive. They're open, and they're also looking at it from a different perspective. Rather than this is what you did to me, it's more, how can we move forward on this? What can we do to change? What works well between the two of us, but maybe what things don't work well. So sometimes saying, there's a technique where you can say, what works well, what I want you to change, and one thing I want you to keep doing. So I'm not going to be defensive that you were bullying me, or particularly if we use that word bully, people get really, really defensive. But taking people off site, sometimes I've taken people to a coffee shop or just had a chat off site and said, I don't think it's working between us. I don't know what's going on, but I do know I want to have a better relationship with you. I wonder if we could come up with some ideas of how we could do that. And surprisingly, people have gone, oh, I'm so relieved. Actually, I didn't think things were right either, and I didn't know how to approach it. So sometimes having that brave conversation actually moves it on.
That's a really great tip. Thank you. So we've probably got time for just one more question. So how do you advise solving conflict between team members?
First of all, if I was listening, I'd really like to listen to the conversation, because I'd hear their unmet needs. Are they saying, I don't feel included, you disrespect me, you leave me out? I'd be listening. What's that unmet need? Is it respect? Is it inclusion? Is it autonomy? And then try and get them to talk it through and say, what is it that we can do differently to help each other? What is it that we can do moving forward? So rather than going over the past, what ways can we show each other? And again, mediation is a great way. If people are getting stuck, try and get, mediators are independent, they're confidential, and they can get to the root of it. And in mediation, you're not right, I'm not right, we're both stuck. And it's there to help us move forward and realize, you know what, we've got different ways of looking at things, but we've had some miscommunication and it's causing harm.
Okay, fantastic. I can see lots of thank yous coming through to you on the chat and in the question and answer. So from everyone, thank you so much for leading the session today. And I hope you all found it useful. Once you leave this webinar, you will be redirected to an evaluation questionnaire. Please do fill it in. We love to read your thoughts, and also it would be great if you have any suggestions for future webinars that would help you at this current time. And
thanks everyone. Good luck. Goodbye. See you. And
finally, before we go, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all the hard work and dedication that you are putting in. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.
Enjoyed this video, please do give it a like using the thumbs up button and share your feedback in the comment section below. In order to ensure that we continue making and uploading this content, please do subscribe as well. If you would be interested in attending a live webinar, please visit our website for more information. The link to our website will be included in the description box for this video. And finally, please ensure that your notification bell is switched on so that you will be the first to hear when we upload a new video to our channel. Thank you very much for watching.